The island of Sumatra is renowned as an excellent source of pepper, and ships have come to the island to trade throughout history. In 1831, the American merchant ship Friendship under Captain Charles Edicock had arrived off the chieftain of Kalabatu in order to secure a cargo of pepper. On February the 7th, Edicock and a few of his men went ashore to purchase some pepper from the natives when 3 native sailboats attacked his ship, murdered Friendship's first officer and 2 others of her crew, and thus plundering her cargo. Edicock and the other surviving members managed to escape to another village. There they enlisted the help of 3 merchant captains who agreed to help him recover his vessel. With their help, Edicock managed to retake his ship and eventually sailed back to Massachusetts. Upon arrival, there was a general public outcry against the massacre, and in response, U.S. President Andrew Jackson dispatched the frigate USS Potomac under Commodore John Downes to punish the natives for their treachery. The Dutch also launched an expedition in response to the incident. Due to a treaty with Britain from 1824, they were unable to annex a number of native-held islands under the Aceh Sultanate, and were limited to the island of Sumatra. The same natives that attacked Friendship became rather emboldened after the capture, and launched attacks on Dutch ports within the area. In response, the Dutch declared them outside of the Aceh Sultanate, and with American support, planned to annex the native lands. The Potomac reached Uluwatu on February the 5th of 1832. Downes decided to disguise his ship as a Danish merchantman in order to keep the element of surprise in his favor. The disguise worked so well that when a party of Malayans boarded the Potomac in the attempt to sell a cargo of pepper, they were detained so to not alert Uluwatu. Downes then sent a reconnaissance party to scout out the defenses of the port, but this was repulsed by the Malayans. In addition to the 3 sailboats in the harbor, at least 5 forts were found to be guarding the town, with the majority of them near the coastline. Downes ordered a detachment of 232 Marines into the ship's boats, some of which had been equipped with lighter cannons. The Marines burnt the vessels in the harbor and assaulted the town's fort, while support guns from the Potomac were used to suppress the fort's fire. The muskets the Americans used were far superior to the outdated matchlock weapons of the Malayans, but the natives fought furiously, and the fight devolved into hand-to-hand combat. Following the battle, 2 native commanders were killed along with 150 warriors, with only 2 Americans that died during the attack and another 11 Marines wounded. After the coastal forts fell, the remaining Malayans fled towards the rear of the town, where another fort lay, but instead of engaging the last remaining fort, the Americans attacked the town itself. Large-scale looting and pillaging occurred, as well as many civilians slain. Downes later ordered his men to return to the ship, and he bombarded the 5th fort as well as the town until its surviving leaders agreed to surrender, which killed another 300 in the process. Following this, a number of neighboring tribes offered a peace deal with Downes, hearing news of the destruction of Uluwatu, and that ends the first Sumatran expedition. In August of 1838, the American trading vessel Eclipse was visiting the village of Trobagon on Sumatra when 24 Malayans approached. The ship's second mate allowed the Malayans to board after they relieved themselves of their weapons and a regular training mission was done. A few moments later, the Eclipse returned as they wished to return the Malayan their weapons. The Malayans, now rearmed with knives and other bladed weapons, attacked the crew. First they killed the second mate, and then one by one the remaining men. Some of the sailors jumped overboard, but the Malayans hunted them down and killed them all. News of the massacre reached Commodore George C. Reed in December of 1838. Immediately, Reed and the frigate Columbia set sail for Sumatra, together with the frigate John Adams. The Columbia held almost 500 men and mounted 50 guns, while the John Adams around 220 men with 30 guns. The expedition arrived off southern Sumatra on January the 1st the following year. The 2 American vessels first headed for Uluwatu, and once they arrived, the 2 US vessels formed a line of battle just in range of 5 earth and wooden forts that protected the village and opened fire. Over an hour later, all of the forts were destroyed or in shambles. The chief of the village surrendered and agreed never to attack American ships again. With this, Commodore Reed set sail for Muki, the next American objective, where they arrived the following day. The Americans landed a force of 316 Marines, all under the command of Commodore T.W. Wyman of the Navy. Wyman's men attacked Muki, while Columbia and John Adams provided covering fire with their cannons. Although most of the inhabitants fled their village upon the outbreak of fighting, some of the Malayan men attempted to resist the attack, but they were overwhelmed. Within a short time, Muki was in flames. The landing party then returned to their ships and sailed away. The punitive expedition after the Muki engagement, and Commodore Reed continued his cruise around the world. The second Sumatran expedition achieved what the first expedition had not. Never again did Malayan plunder an American merchant ship, and this did assist the Dutch. Using the massacre as the pretext, the Dutch launched a number of invasions across the islands, further expanding their East Indies holdings.